So I'm going to speak a line, let's say if you understand this. Um, okay, so see local database, the one of the important things is the local database has to be extracted from SQL. It is installed. It cannot be like the whole data gets extracted when the first time rep logs in. He gets a message that would you like to extract it from the database, and if you see, you also get this message. Let me do something. If we ask you to choose local, sorry, sample. If you choose local, then see, this is what you will get. You'll get an error message. Okay, the local SQL database was not found. Would you like to connect to the SQL remote server to initialize the local database? Basically, it is asking, would you want me to extract it? So had we been having the complete setup, we could have said yes, and that would have started the extraction process. Okay, so as part of the extraction, well, there's a lot to know from a SQL server administrator standpoint. From a BA standpoint, there is one new thing that you definitely would like to know. See, what happens is, out of the box, SQL does not provide all accounts view, does not provide all contents view and all opportunities view for the handheld clients, for laptop clients. It just provides my accounts and my team's accounts view. So as part of database, as part of requirement gathering session, you should try to promise only my accounts and my team's accounts. Why it does not allow all accounts? Because typically all accounts would be like a huge data, and rep might take a long time to get started with the SQL mobile client or handheld client. So this is something that we never do. So I want to just hear your thoughts about this last thing that I said. That there's this view is missing, and there's a reason behind why this view is missing, and we should not promise this view to the users. One of the good points that I'm gathering is, managers may want to see the all accounts view, because that's what all accounts is all about. So if during the JAD session or JAR session, manager says, he wants the all accounts view in the handle client or the mobile client, then what are you going to do? Anyway, basically, let's talk about one more thing here. Remote word is a very misleading word, actually. Very simply speaking, this local client, remote client, mobile client, handheld client, it all means the same. It's a very interesting verbiage. Remote does not mean a person sitting remote. A person might be sitting next to you, but the only thing is, if he's connecting using the internet and he has a local database, that's a remote client. And actually, if a person is working from Kansas City but he's using VPN connection to log into the company network and is accessing using web client, we call it an internal user, not a remote user. So remote is a very misleading word. So please, remember that remote client means person who's having like local installed client. Handheld clients and mobile clients are the examples of those clients. So these words are used interchangeably. Other thing is, I said handheld client and mobile client are same in this discussion. They're actually not same. Handheld client has different applets. Mobile clients applets are same as the dedicated web clients applets, because it is as big. It's mobile client, so its applets are big. Handheld client is small. It's like of the size of palm. So the same applet will not fit there. So handheld clients are typically smaller. So, but in the context of the discussion, I just said, handheld clients and remote client are same, or handheld client and mobile client are both same, but they're not same. Basically, there's a little bit of difference in terms of GUI, but as far as functionality and the synchronization and the current discussion is concerned, they are both remote, or they are both local. Very interesting word, right? Local and remote, right? They are both mean the same in single language. Well, a very important point you have to notice is, local and remote mean the same basically in this context, and both are actually opposite in English language. Remote means a person who's not local is sitting somewhere else, right? But local and remote mean the same in our language. Similarly, in passing, I would like to tell you that there is a concept of global deployments. Like if let's say, for example, let's say G-Rail or GE Power is deploying SQL in 25 or 30 countries in their local languages. So we call it either global deployments, or sometimes we call it local deployments, or localized implementation. It's like a very weird thing that global and local mean the same.
Could it be weird?
Well, typically, if you see, a manager would not need to would not need the local client. He would need it is only good for, like, we give the local client only to those people who work basically remotely, who are on field sales people, kind of who do not have the access to to internet. Basically, that's the whole idea. If they do have the access to internet, they can always connect to the server using a dedicated client or web client. But the point is that they may not have the access. For example, FedEx people, who roam around, the medical representatives who roam around a lot, and service technicians, Comcast people, who roam around to install services. So they cannot say they don't have the access to internet at all times. So a remote client is only useful for those people. Managers of those guys typically would be sitting in an office and they would be having the access to the internet. Typically, they would not need to see. They would definitely need all accounts, but they don't need to use the remote client. They can always use some kind of this thing. So we'll give the, in all these corporates, VPN client is given to them. VPN client is basically like they can log into the company network using this basic thing, and once they log into the company network, they can easily use the web client or the dedicated client, whatever they have given. Typically web client, of course. So you have to access the data, so they don't need to. So people who need all accounts usually sit in the offices. So but let's say you are saying this manager is also on the go at all times, and you want to be able to sync up with the all his people to see what they are doing. So you should humbly tell him that it's not possible and it's not a good idea, because let's say they have 800 reps in the entire organization, and they're all like doing 1 or 2 or 5 updates or 10, 20 updates in a day. That's like 16,000 updates. So 16,000 up, if one rep takes about 5 to 10 minutes, that means he will take 800 into 5 to sync up the entire data. So his entire life will be kind of spent on syncing up the accounts rather than doing anything with those accounts.
Maybe
if you tell him, he will understand. Right. And this CBER limitation is like a very generic limitation. It's not just CBER, it's technology in general. Synchronization and all these things take time, and if he understands that, he will simply back off and take up the requirement. So all accounts is just not possible to be brought into CBER handled. Again, I would say because if you go in CBER 8, CBER 7.8, this should be one of the questions you should have in your mind. Hey, all accounts, is it possible in some way to have all accounts viewed? Like maybe we can create a territory and maybe something like that. We could have some kind of sub-organization, accounts available to the manager, not the entire organization. Maybe something like that. So you need to keep this as a placeholder, as a factor in evaluating an application. Let's say you go to study SAP. Think about it. How much data can be accessed remotely. What are the different types of accesses, and then which access is available remotely and which access is not available remotely. In CBER, well, in case of CBER 6.3 and 7.5, my accounts, that is, so position-based access and the team-based access is available remotely. All organization-based access and all across all organizations access is not available remotely. So, this is one thing that you should evaluate whenever you're looking at an application, how it works and all that stuff.